afternoon. I'm Sean Yao, and this is One News Now. The Transportation Department has been allocated a smaller budget for 2022. We have Man Los Baños joining us live from Pasig to give us the updates. Man, what was the reason given for the DOTR's budget cut?
Hi, Sean. Good afternoon. Well, senators mentioned about the DOTR's low absorptive capacity. That's why they only approved 120 billion peso budget for next year. Sean, that is barely half of the 400 billion pesos they're asking for next year. However, in any case, it's still higher than the 88 billion peso budget that they have for this year, 2021. The DOTR's 120 billion peso budget for 2022 is also 1.5 billion pesos lower than the House version's proposed amount and 33 billion pesos lower than what's in the original national spending plan. Senator Grispo noted that from the DOTR's 88 billion peso budget this year, the department was only able to obligate 54 billion pesos and disburse 23 billion pesos. Senator Ralph Recto meanwhile said the DOTR's disbursement rate has not shown signs of improvement, settling at 43.7% in the past few years. Senator Kiko Pangilinan also asked about the DOTR's 10 billion peso service contracting program or the Libreng Sakay during the pandemic. About 50,000 drivers and operators benefited from the program last year. But next year, there will only be about 14,000 beneficiaries since many drivers and operators have returned to their usual routes. With some drivers and operators complaining, Pangilinan wanted to make sure that nobody is left behind moving forward. The senators also assured drivers of fuel discounts amid the oil price hike. Sean, the DOTR's budget for 2022 has been approved this afternoon, and the senators will introduce amendments to it by next week. Sean?
Thank you so much for that update, and stay safe out there. Man Los Baños joining us live from Pasig. In other news, the Defense Department says the aborted resupply mission to the Ayungin Shoal has resumed today. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says the ships are expected to reach the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal tomorrow with no impediments. Lorenzana also said that the Chinese embassy has expressed cooperation, but only if the ships have no escort. Meanwhile, President Duterte expressed dissent over the incident at the Ayungin Shoal last week, where Chinese Coast Guard vessels fired water cannons at Philippine military supply boats. In COVID news, the Octa Research Group reiterates its warning against letting unvaccinated children outside, citing instances of COVID-19 surges in other countries. Research fellow Guido David told Agenda that unvaccinated children are most prone to infection. David cited a British study stating that the infection rate among children is found to be 15 times higher than that of seniors. He is urging the government to be cautious in reopening elementary schools and to prioritize high schools and colleges instead.
Sana mas maganda if there's a central decision making pa rin naman. Kahit naman alert level 1 to 3, it doesn't mean na wala na yung virus. Kaya nga may alert level 1. Otherwise, di nag-open na lang tayo fully, wala nang alert levels.
We're going to pause for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Keep it here on One News. watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Health authorities have conducted a ceremonial vaccination to mark the rollout of booster shots for senior citizens and third shots for persons with comorbidities. We have Greg Gregorio reporting to us live from Quezon City for the details. Greg, hi, what's going on down there?
Sean, the DOST Vaccine Experts Panel Chief Dr. Nina Gloriani was among those senior citizens who received their booster dose today. The 68-year-old chose Sinovac for her booster in line with the first 2 doses she got in March this year. She says this is because it isn't advisable for her to use other brands due to the other medications she is taking. Executive Director Jaime Montoya of DOST, meanwhile, received a Pfizer vaccine as his booster today. Under the current scheme, booster shot recipients have the option to pick which brand they want, though it will still be reliant on the shot's availability. Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Sinovac shots can be used as booster. Sticking to the same brand is termed homologous vaccination. If they pick a different one from their first 2 doses, that is called a heterologous vaccination. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III also explained that a third dose is different from a booster shot. Third doses are given to immunocompromised individuals, while boosters are given to those fully vaccinated but already have waning immunity. Sean, for now, only healthcare workers and senior citizens, as well as some individuals under A3 priority sector, are eligible for additional vaccine shots. Secretary Duque said the rest of the A3 population may possibly get theirs starting next week, and other sectors would have to wait as an amendment for the current EUAs will still be needed. Sean?
All right, thank you so much for that update. Stay safe. Greg Gregorio of News 5 reporting to us live from Quezon City. Thanks, Greg. Thousands of migrants are stranded on the border between Poland and Belarus. Let's take a closer look at what's happening there in this Bloomberg Quick Take.
Thousands of migrants are stranded on the border between the European Union and Belarus, which President Alexander Lukashenko opened his country for anyone who wants to take a risk and get into Europe. So he effectively opened a gateway for anyone who is willing to risk a trip to Belarus and then try to jump across the border into Poland or Lithuania through forests, swamps and fences of barbed wire. Belarus is ruled by Alexander Lukashenko, the president who has been in power for 27 years. Last year he claimed a victory in presidential elections, which triggered an unprecedented wave of protests. At one point it even seemed like his rule was about to end, but then he was able to suppress the opposition with more than 30,000 arrests. The West promised to step up its sanctions, to which Lukashenko replied that in that case his country would no longer have neither the money nor the desire to stop illegal migrants from pouring into the European Union. Russia, which supports Lukashenko with cheap energy and money, said the West should talk directly to him to resolve the crisis. Lithuania and Poland object, saying he only needs this to get back his lost legitimacy and make the West abandon sanctions against his regime. And yet the outgoing German Chancellor Angela Merkel called Lukashenko on Tuesday, after which he pulled back some migrants away from the border with Poland, sheltering about 1,000 of them in a nearby warehouse. Migrants, many of them young men, made several attempts to break through the border into Poland, but it became increasingly clear that it's just not going to happen. As of today, thousands of them are stuck between Poland and Belarus, unable to get into the European Union and apparently not able to go back because Belarusian authorities are not allowing them to leave the area. It remains unclear what's going to happen next.
Let's take a quick look at today's other top stories. The suspect in the rock-throwing incident at the MRT-3 is now under police custody at the Pasay City Substation 4. The 29-year-old suspect injured one passenger after throwing a rock at an MRT-3 train coach on Sunday. MRT-3 management will be filing several complaints against the suspect, including one for malicious mischief. And the Interior Department will tap members of the Sangguniang Kabataan as data encoders for the Bayanihan Bakunahan program. Other government agencies and offices have also been instructed to extend all possible support for the 3-day vaccination program. The national vaccination campaign will be running from November 29 until December 1. International pop group BTS wins big on this year's Artist of the Year at the American Music Awards. They managed to beat rival nominees Ariana Grande, Drake, Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Swift, and The Weeknd. The boys also won Group of the Year and Favorite Pop Song. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.